Hello there. So this video is gonna be pretty much me talking about all the rides at SeaWorld Orlando. Pretty much giving the basic overview of them all, and maybe even saying the two that I would pick as my most favorite. So let's get into it. And so the first roller coaster that I have got to mention is Pipeline, the surf coaster. So Pipeline, the surf coaster is, well, exactly as it says in the title, a surf coaster. And the train that you ride on for that is designed like a surfboard. And the automated messages for that ride say that it goes 60 miles an hour and is 100 feet tall, or somewhere around that. And a lot of people do try to sit down on that kind of ride, but actually you have to stand up on it. Pipeline the surf coaster is a standing coaster. and that Pipeline would be one of my two most favorite rides at SeaWorld Orlando. And so with that, I am moving on to Icebreaker. So Icebreaker is kind of a shorter ride. I mean, I would say that Icebreaker is designed like if someone were to build a roller coaster in their backyard. That's what I would say Icebreaker is designed like. And it has one launch that goes backwards, then another launch that goes forwards, but doesn't make it over the first hill because it goes backwards again, and then after that second time of going backwards it goes forwards again and actually does make it across the hill. So there's like 4 different launches on that ride. And Icebreaker, I do like it, but sometimes the line on that one can get pretty long because there's only like 9 rows of seats on that thing. But I mean, it's still good, you know. And then you have Mako next. No, actually not. No. Hold on. Yeah, Expedition Odyssey is next. Yeah. So, Expedition Odyssey. If you've ever been on Soaring Around the World at Epcot in Walt Disney World, then you can kind of see where SeaWorld got the inspiration from when making Expedition Odyssey. But that ride is currently under maintenance right now, as they are changing it to Expedition Odyssey Fire and Ice. And once I've written the new version of it, Fire and Ice, I'll make another video about it. I'll make a video about the new version of Expedition Odyssey once it comes about. And at the same time that they're making an update to Expedition Odyssey, they're also in the process of making a new ride called SeaQuest Legends of the Deep. Like seriously, if you go to SeaWorld right now, you can see the barrier right there where the ride is being built. And if you've ridden the version at San Diego, California SeaWorld, then you probably already know what to expect from the Orlando one, if it's going to be the same. So now, we go on to Mako, because, no wait, hold on, I forgot one again. Infinity Falls, yes, that one. So, Infinity Falls is not a roller coaster, but I'm still mentioning it. Infinity Falls is a water ride, basically like a water raft ride, and well, it is fast paced a little, and you definitely do get wet, because there's like a whole bunch of tiny drops that will get you wet. There's waterfalls that will get you wet, and then there's this one part where you reach some type of a tower type thing, but then it takes you up a lift, and then once you're at the top of that lift, you basically just go down the giant drop. And that giant drop is what gets you the most soaked, but also, if you're stood on the bridge that's right there near that ride, then you'll also get soaked from. You also get soaked just by being stood on that bridge as everyone goes down that drop. And so, finally we can move on to Mako, the tallest roller coaster at SeaWorld Orlando, and also my second favorite ride there. So, basically, Mako is themed after basically named after the Mako shark that lives in the ocean, you know that. And then the first hill is actually pretty long up, is like the tallest roller coaster that SeaWorld Orlando has. And you know, I kinda like it. I mean, technically Mako is basically just multiple hills one after the other, but it's still good. Especially if you ride it in the first row. Now, it is kind of a shorter one as well, but let's be honest, all the rides at SeaWorld Orlando are kind of short, except for one that I'm going to get to later on in the video. I don't want to spoil it just yet. And now with Mako out the way, we move on to Icebreaker. Oh wait, I just did Icebreaker. What's the next one? Penguin Track. Yeah, Penguin Track. So now we're moving on to Penguin Track, and that one gives you a little bit of a jump scare if you're not expecting what happens at the beginning. So, Penguin Track, it starts out slow inside of a little ice cavern looking thing, and And then it gets a little, how I say, unexpectedly fast, because right before it leaves the building, or right as it's leaving the building, it just shoots out at full speed, like a full speed launch, up to the first hill. And some people wouldn't be expecting that, so that might give some people a little bit of a jump scare. And then in the middle of the ride, as if one jump scare inducing launch wasn't enough, in the middle of the ride you get a second unexpected launch. So yeah, it's like two different unexpected launches that you wouldn't actually expect there to be. And then you move on to Kraken, which that's kind of a longer one in my opinion. Kraken is kind of a longer one. And it's actually one of the oldest roller coasters there, which makes it a little bit more intense, especially from the back row. But I've ridden it multiple times, and I had no problems with it. Now, I would actually say that a certain ride as Universal Studios Orlando Islands of Adventure called the Incredible Hulk. See, that one is actually less intense than Kraken at SeaWorld Orlando is. But this video is not about Universal Orlando, so I'm not going to make it about that place. So now we move on to Journey to Atlantis, which is a water ride, but the part that many people might not know unless they actually ride it is that it's also a roller coaster at the same time. It's basically like a water ride roller coaster hybrid. So yeah. And so Journey to Atlantis is kind of had some inspiration from Escape from Pompeii at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, Virginia, in terms of how it's designed. Except Escape from Pompeii was designed where you start and end outside, and Journey to Atlantis was designed where you start and end inside. So that's a little bit of a difference. And Journey to Atlantis doesn't have the giant fiery effect that Expedition Odyssey, nope. Journey to Atlantis doesn't have the fiery effect that Escape from Pompeii has. And then you move on to Manta. Now I've ridden Manta before, and I've seen many people get in the line for Manta expecting the seats to just stay in the normal upright position. No. It does not do that. You see, Manta, you literally have a sign right there on the entrance door for that ride that tells you exactly what it does. So you get on the seats, you get in the harness and all that, you know. But then as the ride is starting, it kind of goes from position where you're facing forward like this to where you're facing like this. And you're basically just on your stomach facing the floor. That's pretty much how it is. And the reason for that is because the track is literally above you on that ride. Not below you, but above you. And it's supposed to signify like you're actually riding a like you're actually soaring through the ocean like an actual manta ray. And you know, that's actually nice, you know? Soaring around the ocean like a manta ray. Actually like that design. I like how the seats do that. Now, most upside down moments on roller coasters with the loops, or inversions as some people would say, or where you're upright at the top of it, or where you're actually upside down to the top of it and then you're upright at the bottom. But Manta does it in reverse. You're upright at the top of it and you're upside down at the bottom. Not something a lot of people would expect. And if they time the Manta launch at the right time of the Penguin Trek launch, you can actually see both rides going by at the exact same time, actually crossing over each other. And now I got to talk about Sesame Street Land, which is inside SeaWorld Orlando, in between Infinity Falls and Expedition Odyssey. So, Sesame Street Land, it has a few nice rides, you know. The cookie drop is basically like a small-sized drop tower, which is not intense because, well, it's kid-friendly, of course. And then you have the slimy super slider thing, which basically just spins you around a whole lot. Goes back and forth. And then you have Abby's Flower Tower, which is basically just a tower with little things that you spin in, and there's a wheel on the inside where you can spin it yourself. There's a wheel on the inside of what you're sitting in where you can spin the thing that you're sitting in by yourself. And then there's Elmo's Choo Choo Train, which is exactly as it says in the title of the ride, a choo-choo train. And then there's Super Drover's Boxcar Derby, which is a roller coaster. So Sesame Street Land has its own roller coaster. But, you know, surprisingly, that one is actually intense for a kid ride. Like, it's not as intense as the main roller coasters, but it's still intense in a way. And now for the final ride of SeaWorld Orlando, which is kind of the in-between points of Pipeline and Mako. This ride that I am referring to is the SeaWorld Sky Tower. So, you get into the cylinder thing with all the windows, and then it starts going up. A pre-recorded message is playing the whole entire time you're on the ride, talking about everything you can see from the top of the Sky Tower. And it kind of spins in a 360-degree circle the whole time you're on the ride. And from the top of the Sky Tower, you can see Aquatica, SeaWorld's water park, Discovery Cove, where you can swim with dolphins and other things. And then you can see Epic Universe and Volcano Bay and Universal Studios Orlando, maybe even Islands of Adventure 2. And if you look far enough, you may even be able to see Epcot. And by that I mean the giant Epcot ball, which is also known as Spaceship Earth. You might be able to see that from the SeaWorld Sky Tower, if you look far enough. And so, that's pretty much all the roller coasters at, like all the rides at SeaWorld Orlando. If I said I was only going to talk about roller coasters at the beginning of this, well, I changed my mind halfway through, so there you go. Anyway, that's all the rides at SeaWorld Orlando, and my top two favorite, my two most favorite rides are Pipeline, the Surf Coaster, and the Mako. So let me know down below in the comments what you think of these rides, and I will see you all on my next full video day, which is Friday, and that will be me reacting to and commenting on one of my past videos. I'm only going to do my own videos because I don't want to do somebody else's video and get a copyright type of thing, like, that's not going to happen. So I stick to my own videos. But I will be posting some YouTube shorts on Thursday though. So, I'll see you all next time.